I'm ranking the top 10 quarterbacks most pressured to perform, and this is the criteria I used to build my list. I started off with 19 quarterbacks on my board, so I had to follow some sort of criteria just to narrow the list down. Each quarterback is in a unique kind of spot that I can't really compare that easily, so I had to go off relative pressure on each different quarterback. One last thing before we get into the list is that I wanted to find under pressure. I used the term under pressure to kind of figure out media attention, media scrutiny, how well their regular season play goes into the postseason. Other things that came into the under pressure narrative is that it's how about a new contract year and expected playoff success, basically, is going to be the main thing. So let's get into the top 10 list. Starting off with number 10, I've got Caleb Williams. With Ben Johnson stepping in, one of the best OCs from last year, I think with a whole new organization mindset, I think Caleb Williams is at the forefront of one of the most pressured quarterbacks to succeed next year. I don't think he's number 10 because he's still a second-year quarterback, but I think he took a lot of flack this year, or his O-line took a lot of flack, and I think if they address this, it's going to be solely on how well is he going to play. He's number 10 again because his division is crazy good, and I don't expect him to do too much, but I expect him to play and his individual play to be fairly well. Number 9 is probably the toughest guy I had to rank. Is going to be Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is going to have a new contract by the end of the year. If it's going to be the 49ers, which I'm 90% sure they're going to extend him, he's going to have a lot of pressure on him to perform, especially with a already contending team in the 49ers. I know they've got to make some sort of moves over the offseason, and I'm not going to get into that. But Brock Purdy, everyone is going to be watching him. They love saying he's a game manager, that he's just not good. And I think with a new contract and how the cap is turning with these guys getting $40, $60 million deals, Brock Purdy is going to be at the forefront of that next year on if he performs or not, if these quarterbacks even deserve these. He's number 9 because he's still a bit younger, and I think there's a lot more guys with more pressure, but it's definitely someone to watch in the next year. A lot of people are going to be shocked with my number 8, and hear me out before we become a keyboard warrior. It's going to be Jaden Daniels. And I think the amount of pressure that they put on this kid to go perform next year and become a Super Bowl contender in his second year is a lot. He's only second year, so I can't put too much pressure and put him too high on my list. But the fact that they're already saying they're going to go try and get Myles Garrett, they're going to try and, beef up their D-line and become a legit contender, which they made the NFC Championship game. So fair enough. And they're trying to maximize on a rookie deal, which again, fair enough. I just think that Jaden Daniels is going to be media scrutinized if he has a bad game, or he's going to be highly regarded in the media if he has great games. And he proved himself as one of the best quarterbacks. And that's why he's on this list, because he is going to be an MVP candidate this year. So that's why I have him at 8 and no higher. At number 7, I'm going to have Jordan Love. And I really do think it's going to change if they go get a legitimate wide receiver 1. If they go get Garrett Wilson or T. Higgins, the pressure on Jordan Love skyrockets, because at that point, they're legitimate contenders. I think that's the only thing holding him back, and Love's inconsistency issues. Because when he's throwing picks, or if you look back at their NFC wildcard round this year, he didn't have the greatest game. So I think pressure-wise, there is going to be a lot of pressure on Jordan Love to perform and have that, whatever he does in the regular season, kind of go into the postseason. It's going to depend who they match up against. Again, they're going to be contending next year, and they always say that Jordan Love is going to be an MVP candidate. So he's going to be on broadcast. He's going to be media scrutinized with a bad game. But again, younger, so he's still in my bottom 5 of the list. I won't lie. I struggled a lot with number 6, and it's going to be Justin Herbert. A part of me wanted me to put him number 1, number 2, number 3. I remembered that he doesn't have as great as offensive weapons, maybe as those top 5 guys that I have. So top 5 of my bottom 5, I think makes most sense for him. He's still a bit younger. I'll give him that. And offensive weapons, wide receivers wise, is very minimum. They beefed up their O-line last year. I think they've got a draft skill position. So whatever upgrades they make this year, I think that's going to go to his case of being more pressure. Because if you have a great team, you're going to have a lot of pressure on the quarterback to succeed with that team. And I think, to be fair, I think he's going to be an MVP candidate this year, because I think the Chargers are going to realize that. They are going to be in the forefront of the AFC, and I think he's going to be easily a top 5 quarterback in the AFC. But if you're going to be a great quarterback, pressure does come with that, and I think that's why he's number 6. Top 5 must have taken me, I must have switched it like 7 different times, all right? But let's start off with number 5. Josh Allen is going to be my number 5, all right? I think, obviously, recent MVP winner, he has playoff success. He has gotten to multiple AFC championship games, but he's not where we expect him to be late in February, all right? He's not in a Super Bowl berth. And I think every single year until he doesn't get it, he's going to be the most under pressure quarterback, maybe neck and neck with Lamar Jackson. because his play is awesome throughout the whole year. And it's just, are you going to get over the hump this year? And what can the Bills kind of do, organization, help them out with that if they beef up their D-line, whatever the potentials are? He's an MVP favorite. He's always going to be pressured. And that's why I'm going to segue right into Lamar Jackson at number 4, because him and Josh Allen are like this, like that. All right. Because both of them have been frequent MVP. Obviously, they're the best quarterbacks in the league. But I do think the consensus is Lamar Jackson is the better kind of quarterback around the league, if you asked. And also, the turnovers in the playoffs, Lamar Jackson does need to fix that. I'm not going to say he played bad, because obviously he got them into a tying scenario at that point. And the Bills' offense was kind of stagnant at the end of the game, I would say. But again, enough with the potentials. I think he's an MVP favorite. Again, it's the same thing as Josh Allen, and that's why they're 4 and 5. I couldn't rank them any higher because they have had success. Number 3 is going to be Joe Burrow, and I think since a Super Bowl run like 15 years ago, I'm joking, but he hasn't been in the playoffs, and I think it's definitely something that's going to be pressure on him to make the playoffs, start the year off well, finish the year off well, instead of starting the year off bad and finishing the year off well and then not getting into it. I think the Bengals can overtake like a team, maybe like the Broncos or something like that, and get in. But the Bengals are going to be watched a lot this year. Joe Burrow is going to be heavily scrutinized for any turnovers that end in a loss or anything like that, like last year. So he's only higher than Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen because Joe Burrow doesn't have an MVP. He has a comeback player of the year, like fucking whatever. But I think this is probably the year that Joe Burrow is going to get probably the most scrutinized, because they're in the midst of trying to re-sign T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, get their D-line, get their defense beefed up. And I think Joe Burrow is going to be one of the guys that we're going to be looking a lot at this year, and that's why he's higher than almost, other than 2 people on this list. So going into my top 2, I don't think everyone that I've said, out of the 8 people I've mentioned so far, I don't think any of them, even with bad play in the postseason next year, I don't think any of them are in jeopardy of losing their jobs. And I think that's where I wanted to really take a step up in my top 2, where I think going into my second is Jared Goff. If he has a bad playoff game like he had last year, he might be out of a job. It's already this year saying they might be drafting a quarterback. They might be trying to go take another quarterback, because honestly, they were favored to win that game. They should have won that game. Yes, their defense was bad, but even Dan Campbell says there's no excuses for that. Their defense played decent enough. Jared Goff put them in a sewer hole, all right? He played great the whole year around, and then it went to the playoffs, and then he dropped off. So I'm expecting, again, a lot of pressure to be on Jared Goff. Lions are going to be Super Bowl favorites. And if he plays bad, I think you're looking at a new QB1 in the Lions. I'm actually itching to say my number 1. I think it's so funny, but it's going to be Dak Prescott. I'm sorry. The amount of pressure that he puts on himself to say that they're neck and neck with the Super Bowl champions that just blew out Kansas City.
How far are you guys away from that level? I feel like we compete with the Eagles and beat them for the most part when we played them. Yeah, very close, especially when you even watch the NFC game, the NFC Championship. And those 2 teams that we battle against each and every year a couple of times. And as I said, feel confident about we've gotten the better part each and every time. And to see it in such a dominating fashion, credit to them. It's our turn and it's on us.
Dak Prescott, I'm sorry, but you are going to be the most pressured quarterback the whole year round. You're on a team that gets the most media attention as the Dallas Cowboys, like the Lakers of the NBA. You are any pick you throw is going to be blasphemized. It's going to be on ESPN, this or that. Any games you guys lose, oh man, it's going to be Dak Prescott the whole way through. I don't expect this to be any different. Like Jared Goff, if you play bad in the playoffs again, you will be out of a job, and there's no doubt about that. I would be shocked if you don't make it past the divisional round. See ya. Go to the Raiders, bro. Go to the Browns. You will not be in Dallas. I'm sorry. You're way too expensive to be playing how you've played in the past. He is an MVP past guy. So kind of where Joe Burrow is sitting without a Super Bowl appearance, but you got to show up in the playoffs. You're safe from a firing if you can show up in the playoffs and you lose somehow else. So that wraps up my top 10. I actually really enjoyed making this list. I thought it was super fun. Let me know in the comments if I should make some more. I have some honorable mentions that, again, it was my 19 quarterbacks at the start that I just couldn't put in my top 10. I'm looking off my board now, so get off my back. But it's going to be C.J. Stroud. I had Michael Penix in there. I had Bryce Young. I had Trevor Lawrence, Drake May, Kyler Murray, Tua, Anthony Richardson, I think, Bo Nix, but I didn't even put him on my honorable mentions. I think all these guys have something to prove next year, but a lot less than the top guys I obviously mentioned. So check out my page for more content like this. Definitely like and subscribe if you like this content, because I love making it for you guys. So cheers, guys. Also, this is Future Reese. After I edited this post came from me seeing Aaron Rodgers is the number one, like, most under pressure quarterback next year, something to prove, this and that. Come on. He's damn near fucking 50. And you're saying he's fuck out of here. So this is exactly why I don't have like Matthew Stafford. I don't have Russell Wilson. I don't have Mahomes. I don't have Hurts. All these guys, I've already proved it. I'm sorry. They've already won a Super Bowl. That's legacy at that point. That's Hall of Fame worthy at that point. Like, okay, we can get into that debate later, but so that's why I don't have any of these guys. These are all guys that actually all have something to prove, if that makes sense.